Hello, everyone. Welcome to Land Timber Stream. Hope you're having a good night. We got some mentors in the chat already talking about the music. I'm playing with the music tonight, folks. I'm actually gonna probably do at some point I'll do. Okay, good. Yeah, I'll probably do some more info on how I set that up here on the Mac. It's a little challenging on the Mac, believe it or not. Most everything is. Try not to be biased here, but most everything is pretty simple to set up and run on the Mac. It just works. But sound can be a little interesting depending on the app. But anyway, we got it working. We're going to try it out. This tonight is a Galaxy or wallpaper of the day. We always have a backdrop, right? You all, if you watch the stream, you see the wallpaper a lot. So this is Galaxy number 6000. I think it was discovered some of the time last year by Hubble. So just beautiful, shot right here. Credit goes to Judy Schmidt on Flickr. I follow her. Check her out. She compiles these images from Hubble. So good stuff. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about redistribution. Again, music's still playing over your mic. Okay, thanks, man. Let me. I want to let it play, but just like really lower. So hopefully that's a lot lower than my voice. I've been playing with the volume settings here a little bit. I can hear it, but it doesn't always sound the same volume that it comes through on the recording. So we'll just experiment a little bit. Thanks for the feedback, though. Appreciate that, mentors. So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit. There you go. It's low enough. All right. Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. So if you followed yesterday, I did two pretty lengthy reviews of redistribution, in particular ospf to ospf redistribution. And I had a little time, yesterday, last night, and then today to think about it. And I thought, I need to go back and reread that because I was pretty clear on some points. But I want to go back and review it and summarize it on the stream today and write it out a little bit just to make sure I understand. And I'm pretty sure I got it, right? So let's go over again. Most of the information comes from this excellent article. Actually, I thought I had it here. Let me pull it up. And I'll link it as well. Oh, it's right here. Yeah, so I'm going to link this in the chat. This has really everything you need to know about how this works. But there are a number of caveats with redistribution, period, especially mutual redistribution between protocols, and especially multiple points of mutual redistribution, and especially how many of these can we add, and especially ospf to ospf, multiple points of mutual redistribution. Okay? It can be done, but I think one of the takeaways, and my review in this today highlighted this, it's very difficult, it's very dangerous. There may be a few use cases to do this. Maybe a few use cases to do this. And essentially what the summary of this article says that if you can find another way to do this, the way I read it is, please do. But if you still need to do this, and this is the Cisco doc, fine, okay. Here's how you do it. Here are the different ways to do it. Here's some caveats. And essentially, the article comes up with first of all, a very important rule about OSPF to think about, which I didn't quite grasp yesterday. But when I had time to sort of sit through and read through the article myself again, not on stream, it clicked. And that is, when you think about redistribution of two processes, how does OSPF know to prefer one over the other? Okay. So for example, with EIGRP, as soon as you do redistribution, let's say you have a router, for example, EIGRP, and it is running EIGRP AS100 and AS200. Okay? So within the same process, you can easily compare the metric, right, of a particular route within that process. But, well, at least in the case of ospf, for example, not necessarily sure about EIGRP, but within the case of ospf, you cannot compare the metric of, or at least it does not do this, it does not have this capability with IPv4. You cannot compare the metric of a route in process 1 with the metric of a route in process 2. It's not going to do that anyway, right? So essentially, what does ospf have to fall back on? It'd be great if it did. Maybe the two routes, you'd have the same prefix, and coming this way, it would be external. Whereas on process 2, whereas in process 1, it's an internal route, right? It might be an intra-area route. The thing is, ospf will not do a comparison for you between processes. It just won't. Obviously, you would prefer this intra-area route, but it simply will not do that. And the problem with ospf is that external routes and internal routes, for example, have the same administrative distance. And that becomes your decision point, really. When you have multiple processes, whether it be ospf or EIGRP, the streams don't cross, right? So the only way to do a comparison that the router has is administrative distance. With EIGRP, that's fine, because redistributed routes have a different administrative distance, right? 170. Whereas in ospf, in 94 for internal. Whereas with ospf, both your intra-area routes and external routes all have the same administrative distance. And that's where you get this looping scenario between two processes. Mentor says, yes, curious, what would use cases actually be? We'll need to read this article. Yeah, I went over those a little bit yesterday, and I'll review those now again. But essentially it said, I think there were 3 mentioned. One would be as if you are doing a migration. So let's say you have a network, you've done a merger, you've joined a particular, a couple of networks, or two autonomous systems. You're joining them together, and they have 2 different, and they're both using ospf. So that is a case where temporarily you might be able to justify splitting administrative domains, right? In other words, you have routers that are running both processes, but in effect, you split the ospf domain. Call it area 0, for example. Let's say you have area 0 on both sides. You're doing a merger. In this case, you might want to run both processes and do redistribution temporarily. That is one use case. The other mentioned is where you want to have a single sort of routing domain, but you want to have 2 management. You want to split the management of these domains. Again, I can't think of a use case. I would love to see real world scenario. I'm sure there have been these in the past. But let's say you have team 1 wants to manage these routes, and team 2, network team 2 wants to manage these routes, and they have different managers, or they're in different departments, different directors. Instead of running different protocols, or instead of doing some other methodology, they have dictated that we must run ospf and just do redistribution. That is another use case. And there was one other one. I don't remember what it was, but those are the 2 that I can remember. But yeah, so that's the issue really with ospf, is what makes it so complicated is that you're redistributing between processes, and you cannot do a comparison between the 2. So all the routes end up with the same administrative distance by default. So there is a solution chart, and as many of you know, what I've been working on lately, this has been a little project of mine, is working on this redistribution reference sheet. I was doing all these OSPF to connected, OSPF to BGP, OSPF EIGRP, and show IP interface brief is like, oh, don't forget OSPF to OSPF, right? I was like, oh, darn it. And I haven't finished filling this out. But what I decided to do is I needed to create a separate tab here, because this article here gives 5 different ways to handle potential routing loops in, multiple OSPF domains. And what I did is I kind of divided these up into 3 different, results. So one loop prevention method is basically to poisoning the route and saying anything coming from this router, anything coming from the other router that's redistributed from my area or from my domain, poison it with 255 to prevent the loops. That works in some scenarios. You don't have domain backup, and what it means by domain backup here is that if you have a link go down of one router that say, this router is to a mutual redistribution, if you have a link go down, it will go around the other path through router 2, the redistributed route through router 2, for example, to get back around. You lose that using distance 255. Well, this is a pretty easy way to do it. The other way is route tags, but that essentially accomplishes somewhat of the same thing. You're going to filter out those redistributed routes, and you're not going to have them as a backup. The other method it mentioned is to match redistribute into OSPF with the match internal keyword. And that does allow one domain to back up the other, for the most part, with the exception of external prefixes. When you match internal, you're basically saying, I'm not going to redistribute any external prefixes into that other domain. You're cutting them off. And as I say, block external prefixes from other ASBRs, right? So let's see. Mentor says, yes, real world centers would be useful. I've never been exposed to any situation like this. I have not either, fortunately. And then moving to the cloud would make our job so much more easier indeed. Yes, it's interesting you mentioned that, mentors. I don't know if you caught a previous stream, but I streamed from a hotel room last week while I was traveling for work. And I'm going to be doing a lot more cloud engineering now. My job responsibilities have shifted, so it's going to be interesting to see what kind of technologies we get into, routing technologies. But yeah, so, and then the last 2, one is prefix-based filtering. So I'm basically going to create an ACL, and I'm going to filter routes based on redistribution, so that, I'm going to have to just list them out. Anything coming from router 2 over here that is from my domain, I'm going to filter those out, those prefixes. The problem is you may still block, or you will not actually block, this is a solution, and not block external prefixes from other ASBRs in that domain. But when you do that, you are indeed filtering, and you're not going to be able to provide a backup link for those external prefixes from other ASBRs. And then you have prefix-based filtering and prefix-based administrative distance. This is actually it's a little more complicated. It's probably the most complicated, but it is the best in terms of features. So your domains are going to be able to back up each other. Any other ASBRs in those domains that are redistributing routes, you're going to receive those, and you're going to be able to forward those also to the other domain as a backup route, right? So anyway, I know that's hard to kind of understand just looking at that. Yes, Azure. That's right, mentors. Doing some work in Azure. Going to be doing a little bit of work in other clouds. Definitely sign up for Google Cloud and take advantage. Oh, Rad Puppy says another technique it uses a route map that uses route source to only redistribute external routes received from one of the ASBRs. Okay. I'm sure there are some other solutions not mentioned here also. And I think I get what you're saying there, Rad Puppy, and that sounds like that would work. There might be an order of operations thing there, but I'm sure, yeah, you could probably get that to work. A lot less work than manually doing all the prefixes. Yeah, so in other words, you're doing it by router. So you'd have to know all the, specify just all the router IDs, right? But that would be easier, especially if you have, let's say you had 3 ASBRs, and between the 3, they were redistributing 100 routes from BGP, for example. Yes, that would be a lot easier to just create a route map to allow those based on those router IDs. That's a clever, yeah, that would work. Good one, Rad Puppy. So much good stuff come from the chat. And then Mentor says, sign up for Google Cloud, take advantage of $300 credit, like shows a live stream last night. This video was easy to set up for EVNG. Yes, I did actually do that. I've signed up for the Google Cloud deal. And I started to create a virtual machine and never got, when I found out he was doing a video on it, I was actually looking at the same article that he referenced, the same blog. And then he posted he's going to be doing a video on it. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to let Show do it and let him show me how to do it. So yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. I actually want to do, I'm considering doing a comparison of a couple of different platforms, like running EVNG. You can do it in Azure. There is a way to do it using reserved instances. And this is pretty recent. They do have some server levels that you can use and do nested virtualization, but they're pretty high grade servers. Like I think Google Cloud is a little more granular. They do give you a lower tier cost, virtual machine that you can use than what Azure does. And I know that AWS has the capability as well. But even before he did that video, I'd kind of researched it out, and it looked like Google Cloud was going to be the cheapest. But I'd still like to kind of, Azure has some pretty cool features as well in terms of pricing and I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, this is a solution chart. This is available on Google Cloud Drive. Google Cloud on the Google Drive share. So feel free to check this out if you all want to lab this yourself or play around with it. You can try it out. So that's as far as I got on that. But I felt like reading the article again. Sometimes when it gets a little deep, you just need to reread or relab until you get it. And reading it again the second time, I felt, okay, I think I got it. Mentors, yeah, seeing the other cloud cool platforms features compared would be awesome, and price points. Yeah, also Packet.net, which is dedicated hardware, but I understand that would be kind of expensive. And Packet.net does not have a free trial that I could find. Another was Blue Ocean. Blue Ocean can also give you dedicated hardware, and they have $100 credit to start out. But it looked like that would be more expensive too, from what I could see. But yeah, I plan to maybe do a little blog or something on that. So anyway, I think I'm good on OSPF to OSPF redistribution summary. So tonight, I've already done a little bit of work on this EIGRP to EIGRP redistribution. And I'll tell you, folks, I did not find much information on this. I did not find an article, like this troubleshooting tech note. What that told me right away is what I already assumed, that this was not going to be as complicated. And some of the articles I did find about EIGRP to EIGRP, there wasn't really much special about it. Essentially, you need to use some of the tools you would use in any mutual redistribution scenario, which is, you essentially using either distance or route tags, right? For automatic handling of mutual redistribution. You can also do access lists or prefix lists and route maps and things like that. But this is going to be a lot simpler to do, I think, and avoid some of the pitfalls of like you have in ospf, and that is simply because the external routes are going to have a different administrative distance. So even though you have a router running both processes in the same address family, IPv4, even though it's not going to necessarily compare, one process to the other, there's kind of a wall there, right? We revert to administrative distance, and anything redistributed in EIGRP is going to be a 170. You might have issues with inbound routes that are already redistributed compared to those that come from redistribution from one process to another. But again, that's where you use your other tools like we do with ospf. And I think we're okay there. It's not going to be too bad. I'm not going to lab this. I'm not going to, I don't see a need to lab this really at this point. I think I understand the implications there. So tonight, that's where I'm at. I'm going to continue to move on, and I'll probably do some network lessons tonight. Continue working on that. Oh yeah, you're just asking about that. How's your network lesson subscription going? Definitely useful info you're using for Cisco. I am still debating and undecided. Well, tune in, mentors. I did pay the 1 year, which was, all right, so this is interesting. I need to do a vlog just about this, right? Yeah, man, Big A, got to get that studying in. It's Monday, folks. Monday sets the tone for the rest of the week, right? So got to get it started off right with Mondays. Sometimes you're a little tired or you got a few errands to run, and Mondays seem to fly by, right, compared to other days. But get that studying in, get those labs in, and set the tone for the rest of the week, right? But yeah, I will say, mentors, that the networklessons.com has been great so far, the material I've looked at. I did look at some of PPPoE. There were PCAPs, there's been some videos, there's been labs, and it's really good so far. I bought, like I said, the year subscription, and it was cheaper than doing month to month. I don't remember. One thing you want to be careful is don't type in www.networklessons.com. That goes to some other domain. Yeah, you can do a $1 trial for 1 week, but I think they have the cost here. Oh, it doesn't like Brave. Yeah, so it's $29 a month, and if you do annual, you basically get 2 months free, right? So that's what I did. I did for 1 year. 622 Cisco lessons, and it's good quality stuff. Hope you have another lab stream this week. I've been missing them, man. We'll see. Again, I'm not going through at this phase. I'm still doing written preparation. I'm still, I know about some holes I have in the blueprint. So I'm just going through the blueprint, and I figured I'll go through network lessons, probably hit each lesson. Because some of the gaps I didn't think I had, and I really did. So I'm going to go through each of those. Some of those have labs, and in some cases, I'm already finding I want to do a lab on this or that. And I think I did one last week based off of network lessons, video that I saw. So yeah, we'll be doing some, my friend, definitely, here and there as the need arises. But yeah, I just want to encourage everyone, hit the books, hit the study, and hit the labs. We're going to do this, guys, guys and gals. We got our goals. We got our certifications. Hopefully you have a date, a target date, or a lab date, and keep working towards it. Hit us up on the Discord. If you're not yet in the Discord channel, a lot of action going on over there. Collaborate. You can ask questions. You can... Good bits, fam. Yep, keep it studies and lab every day. That's right. So that's the only meat chunk I have already posted. Follow me on social media if you want to keep up with other things. I'm doing more content like on Instagram and Twitter, and even YouTube. There are some I'm starting to do some YouTube videos, like how-to videos series. So they're brief, like just how to do certain things related to content creation or related to labbing or related to anything. And they're, 5 to 10 minute videos. I'm going to be adding more of those. So definitely follow us on YouTube and, of course, here in Twitch and Discord. Thanks so much, folks. Have a good night. We will see you back here tomorrow night, if all goes well, here on the Land Tamer stream. Thanks, folks.